Once again, welcome back. This is Dr. P.A.Hagargi from SVERIs College of Engineering. Today's topic on technical gate tutorial, I'm going to tell you about the generation of Ll Parser for the language. Let us see what is Ll Parser. Ll means what? Ll Parser, a top-down parser that uses one token look ahead, is called as Ll Parser. Ll Parser is a top-down parser that uses one token look ahead is called Ll Parser. And in bracket we can say one more small l that I will tell you what it is. Small l, that itself is nothing but a look ahead. That itself ll is nothing but a look ahead parser. The first L indicates that the input is read from left to right. In the parser, actually we have in the top-down parser we have so many two kinds, like top-down, bottom-up parsers, and we can move from left to right or from right to left, and the derivations can also be from left to right and right to left also the derivations can be. But here in Ll Parser, the Ll Parser is a top-down parser. This Ll Parser is a top-down parser that uses one token look ahead is called a Ll Parser. It cannot be an. It is called a Ll Parser. Ll Parser means it is called as an Ll Parser. The first L indicates that the input is read from left to right, and the second L says that it produces a left to right derivation for the parse string. Okay, the first L indicates that the input is read from left to right, and the second L says that it produces a left to right derivations, and the L says that it uses one look ahead token, and the L says that it uses one look ahead token. Let me move on to the next slide. How is the construction of the Ll Parser table? Before that, we require here to get into deep of the Ll Parser, how it is, from which classification it has come. Let us look into the prerequisite topic on the classification of the top-down parser. Here let me show you a figure. What is this top-down parser? We have two types of parsing. One is backtracking and the other one is without backtracking. And without backtracking we have two kinds of method, that is recursive descent parsing and the other one is non-recursive descent parsing. And here in the backtracking we have only the brute force method, which is also called as an backtracking parsers. So these are the two classification of the parser, and this parser is of the top-down parser. So this where the Ll Parser does belong to, and about what we were knowing about it, what is the prerequisite about the Ll parsing table. As I said, the classification, it belongs to the top-down parsing, and we have two types of top-down parsing, that is backtracking and without backtracking. And here let us know, in the Ll Parser we require some three important topic, saying as parses the first set and the follow set. A top-down parser builds the parse tree from the top down, starting with the start non-terminal, and that non-terminal can be a symbol, that is variable. There are two types of, as I said, there are two types of top-down parsers, that is the top-down parser with backtracking and the top-down parser without backtracking. So this was the requirement of the Ll Parser for the backtracking Now we have the brute force method, and for non-backtracking we have the recursive descent parsing and non-recursive descent parsing, which is of the method called as Ll Parser. Now first L indicates as the input is read from left to right, and the second L indicates that it produces the left to right derivation, and L indicates, the small l in the bracket indicates that number of symbols look ahead. It has read. What is the number of symbols? Here once again the first L indicates the scanning of the input that will be done from left to right, and the second L shows in this parsing technique we are going to use the leftmost derivation tree, and finally the L represents the number of look ahead, means how many symbols are you going to see when you want to make a decision, Here what kind of decision that I will be telling, by taking the example we shall come to know how the decision it does. The construction of the Ll Parser table says we have two functions, that is the first function and the follow function. If there is a variable, and from that variable if we try to derive all the strings, then the beginning terminal symbol is called the first. From the start variable, assume that from the start variable, if there is a variable, and from that variable if we try to derive all the strings, and then the beginning terminal yes or the beginning terminal symbol is called the first. Beginning terminal, the symbol is called as the first. From that variable if you are going to derive all these strings, so therefore the first beginning terminal or the beginning first symbol is called as the first. What do you mean by here the follow function? Follow function, what is the terminal symbol? Follow function is the terminal symbol which follow a variable in the process of derivation, Here I have done one small mistake, that is nothing but is follow function is the terminal which follow a variable in the process of derivation. I hope you have come to know there are two functions in the top down parser, and that too we are using the Ll Parser. And how is the construction of the Ll Parser? The Ll Parser requires two functions, that is first function and the follow function. The first function is that if there is a variable, and from that variable if you are going to derive all the strings, then that beginning variable or the terminal becomes as the first symbol. And in follow function is the function or is the terminal symbol means it is a variable symbol which follow a variable in the process of derivation. So it is called as the, these two concepts are helps in building the construction of the Ll parsing table. So here is the example. We shall look into this example, that I have here 1, 2, 3, 4. We have here 4 productions, 5, 6 productions, and here is one more production, that is F, and this example is the very famous example, which this example is given in the GATE exam also. So let us go through this example only. So consider this grammar. The production 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 productions are there, and here we have epsilon, and here also we have an epsilon. So these are the 5 productions. Let us find the first and follow set of this. E derives two variable here, that is T and E star. Whereas E star derives plus is a string, non-terminal, and variable T and E star, or it also derives epsilon. And T derives Ft. T derives the variable Ft, where T dash derives star F and T dash, and all, or also it is deriving the epsilon. Whereas this F derives the one identifier, or it is also deriving the expression, or it is also deriving the same expression. Whereas here E denotes the epsilon. As I said, I was repeating, E derives T and T and E dash, whereas E dash derives the non-terminal plus with T and E dash or E epsilon. Whereas here once again the T derives, not once again, what it was defined. So further T derives Ft dash, and T dash derives star F and T dash or E, whereas T dash derives I think I have told, whereas F derives identifier and the term and the non-terminal, that is bracket with the variable, and again the non-terminal, and again the non-terminal. So what are the strings here? Plus is the string, and here star is also a string, plus star, and also here the bracket, these are the strings, and also the identifier, and also the identifier, these are the strings. Let us know this example how we just derive them into into first set and follow set. For this I require here sketch and I require here the paper and pen. So before having the paper and pen, in the next session I'll be using the paper and pen for the same example. So let us look into, first let us make the all the first let us take them into rows and column, and in the column head it is first set and the follow set, and here the row in the rows of every, we are indicating here the productions. As I said in the same example, we had how many productions? 1 2 3 4 5 productions, including the epsilons, 6 7. So we had 5 productions, 1 2 3 4 5 productions, and we have here epsilon and also here the epsilons. The first set of the TE derives what? TE derives what? It derives the T and E. So here first we need to have the concept at rows and columns, what we need to specify. Anyhow we are going to derive here the string itself. So in the next example, by making use of the pen and paper, we shall see. But before that, you just look into here how I have derived the strings. Where in this set I have the identifier, and the first very lookup is the identifier, and next is the opening bracket. Next is the opening bracket. How identifier I got here is, whereas E is deriving the terminal, and where T is deriving F, where further this F is deriving the identifier. Therefore we have here identifier, and further F is deriving with this identifier only, we have the bracket, because it is in continuation of the string. After the first variable we have E star. What the E star follows? E star follows again the T plus T star and or the epsilon. So we need to find out here what the T is following here. T is following what? Anyhow the follow up the input of the input of the stack will be the dollar sign. So this is the dollar sign, the input of the stack. So anyhow further that F is followed by what F is doing. This T is yielding T and E star, or sorry, E dash, T and it's a E star. So E star, it is yielding the F. What F is giving? It is giving as the identifier and the opening bracket. But this were the first term, these were the first non-terminals, which was the first set derived by the E variable. So here, after this, what it processes? It produces the closing bracket. It produces the closing bracket. So this first production is over. Moving on to the next production, E dash derives plus T and E dash, E star, or it also derives the epsilon. So here the E derives, what is the first variable? First variable, it derives E. First variable derives itself E E dash, and it is deriving the itself as the first non-terminal plus. Itself it is deriving the non-terminal plus, and also in this, among this, it is deriving the epsilon. Among in this, it is deriving the epsilon. And this follows what? This follows T. What T follows? T follows anyhow the T follows what? T follows this ft, and where this ft follows, ft follows what? F follows the identifiers. So here the set the input of the set will be dollar, and it is following the it is following the closing bracket. So this is what the identifier. And in the same way, so this becomes a very good explanation if I have the pen and paper. So let me go on with the using the pen and paper for this example. So in the next video lecture, I'll move with the same example using the pen and paper. So how we can derive these strings using the Ll Parser, and where in this Ll Parser it follows the first, and it follows the first function, and it follows the uh, follow function. The first follow function derives the strings using from the first variable, and the follow function derives those strings after the first variable follows. So what the next variable will be having? So follow function yields those strings which are after a first variable, means after the first variable, those are the strings which follows the next, means which follows the next variable. So this is how